Hey, welcome back to another episode of Big Daddy's Real Talk. It's me, your girl, Grace. Sorry I didn't release an episode last week. I was actually at my parents' just relaxing, just chilling, sleeping there, spending time with my parents. Now that my dad's retired, I get to see him more, which I'm really glad. So, yeah, for my first segment, I'm going to talk about my dating app stuff, which there's a lot, but this one's kind of weird. This guy like matched with me a while ago and was like asking me to hook up, but he was in Vegas at the time. I was like, "You're in Vegas. I'm in DC area." And he's like, "Oh, I actually live there, but I'm coming back from Vegas. I'm on vacation." So I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And he'll like ask me to hang out. And like one time he asked me to hang out like 3 days in a row. And like a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'm like, usually I'm like, oh, I'm busy with work because I work late. I'm too tired from work because like I have a very like physically demanding job. And then, or sometimes he'll hit me up and he'd be like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, one time I was like, oh, I'm getting drink with my coworkers, or like I'm hanging out with my friends. He goes, when do you have time for yourself? I'm like, I do. It's just during the daytime. And then one time he like messaged me asking me to hook up, and he's like, "When are we gonna bump uglies?" And since then, never responded to him. He's messaged me a couple times, but I've not responded because who wants to hear like be asked, when do you want to bump uglies? That's disgusting in my mind. But yeah. So this week's episode is going to be me ranking all of Taylor Swift's exes, or like, I looked on this website and listed like 13 of her exes. If you don't know, I love Taylor Swift. I've been a fan of her since I was 8 when she first released debut. Like, I've been a fan since day one. I wanted to go to the Eras tour, but it's too expensive. I know one person who went, and she looked like she had the time of her life. So I'm so happy for her. But I went to the Fearless tour when I was 11, and I was like, this is the best day of my life. I don't know if, like I mentioned in my Christmas episode, I took the Metro for the first time. But Taylor Swift used to do this thing called a tea party, which her mom would choose guest people from the audience who she was like, oh, these people dressed really well. They had the best sign, blah blah blah. They they should meet Taylor in the after thing. And when I was 11, I was like, I'm getting invited to this tea party. She gotta pick me in my Piggly Wiggly t-shirt. No sign look. That's it. Obviously, I wasn't chosen, but I still think I looked good in that tie-dye Piggly Wiggly t-shirt. But yeah, so I'm going to be ranking all of her exes from this one website I got. Go through pros and cons of them. If I'm looking over, I might like bring my laptop to the front, but I have my laptop because I wrote all my notes down. Um, just thoughts, so I'm not rambling too much, but I might go on a little tangent based on it. But yeah, like I said, she had 13 exes listed. I'm going to go from least favorite to favorite. So if you guys want to guess who my favorite is, guess before I say it. But number 13 is John Mayer. So John Mayer dated, if you don't know, John Mayer's like this singer, songwriter. His most famous song is like Love on the Weekend. Took me a second. I do like that song. But I don't like John Mayer. So Taylor Swift was 19 when she dated John Mayer, who was 32. It was a very short relationship. It was probably more of a, for him, a publicity thing because she was so hot and upcoming. This was right during her Fearless album era, right before Speak Now. Broke up. Not a good breakup. Um, so he has come out since then saying She can't write songs, which is kind of sad because I think I like her work. It might not be like the most like, oh my god, this is the best lyric in the world, but I do. She's really good with like all the literary things you learn in high school, alliteration, imagery, similes, metaphors. Pretty good at that. Um, so that kind of sucks, especially when he wrote a lyric, and I quote, "Why you no love me? Why you no love me?" He said that the song is supposed to be from like a child to a parent or something. I don't get it. When she writes lyrics, beautiful lyrics. But yes. Um so she's written a couple songs about him, a few songs. I think the most obvious is Dear John, very sad. With the line, "Don't you think 19 was too young to be messed with the girl in the dress?" She wrote that when she was like 19, 20. Iconic. Um Story of Us. That one's pretty good. That's also on the Speak Now album. I I don't know why I thought that was about Joe Jonas for a while when I was a kid, but obviously not. And then on her Midnight's album, Would Have, Shoulda, Coulda is apparently about him. It's a really sad song, and I really enjoy it. But it has the when I heard this line, I was like, oh my gosh. The line is she wrote was, "Give me back my girlhood. It was mine first." Amazing, amazing. Okay, number 12. Pretty obvious. Take your guess. Take your guess. Okay, ready? Jake Gyllenhaal. Everyone hates Jake Gyllenhaal and the who are Swifties. I just think John Mayer's a little more gross in my mind because Jake Gyllenhaal does have some good movies, I will say, but overall kind of sucks. Um, Obviously, like I said, he's an actor. Me personally, he kind of gives me the same vibes as Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, actor, intense, dates younger girls. But yeah, it was like a 3 month relationship. They're both Sagittarius. I don't know what that says, but my mom's a Sagittarius. That wasn't really necessary information, but I thought it was fun. Um, it was a 3 month relationship. Um, and she was 20. Taylor was 20 when he was 29, dating. Um, Fun fact: he is a nepo baby. His like mom or dad's like a producer in the Hollywood. I don't know. Red Album, all about him. Obviously, we are never ever getting back together. Oh, amazing. I bet you think about me. Oh, amazing. And obviously, the number one, All Too Well, 10-minute version, specifically with iconic lines talking about the red scarf and tossing me the car keys, fuck the patriarchy, keychain on the ground, and then talking about like dancing in the refrigerator, like talking to my dad, like you're on a late night show, and then you missed my 21st birthday, and then oh, um, she felt so many emotions from that relationship, and I get it was a 3 month relationship, but sometimes you feel all these emotions for guys you barely date, situationships. Um, I feel like, well, first off, people like I mentioned it earlier, the scarf. I read theories online that people are like, it's not a real scarf. Because people are like, Jake, give Taylor back her scarf. I read online people don't think scarf is actually a scarf, like a material scarf. It might represent her virginity. Scandalous. Which obviously we don't know the truth. It's just a theory. Because she thought maybe he was the one. But yeah. Um, Overall, number 12 on my list. He has nice hair and a nice beard. Number 11, Connor Kennedy. Not much is like I don't know a lot about him. I know he's rich. He's really obviously to the Kennedy family, which John F. Kennedy was in. His dad's name was Bobby. But so he's rich. That's a whole bullet point. But Taylor knew about his parents before, like she was interested in the Kennedy family, so she wrote a song about his parents. It's called "Lucky One on Red." It's pretty cute. I like it. But he is like I don't have much to say about him. This is a little controversial. He was 18 when she was 22 dating, so like not the biggest age difference, but 18, 17, 18. Where's the line? Where's the line? Um, he's a bland white man. In my mind, nothing outstanding about him. He's rich, political family, but I am, I'm very delusional, and I'm so delusional. I could be like, oh, I could pull this man. He's a bland white man. I can pull him because I'm a beautiful Asian. But yes, number 11. Number 10, Matt Healy. Very short relationship. If you don't know him, British man in 1975. He's the singer. They have songs like Chocolate, which I didn't like the earlier stuff. Chocolate was fine. My friends in high school loved the 1975. I like some of their newer stuff. Um, now I can't even, I don't even know what I'm saying. Oh, it's like, I'm in love with you. I can't sing. He loves to smoke. I do kind of pick up that vibe. I see pictures of him smoking a lot. Um, um, he looks kind of stinky to me. Like, not like, oh my god, ugh, throw up stinky, but kind of like, ooh, you have a slight odor to you. Maybe it's from all the cigarettes. That's why I think he does, but greasy. But yeah, he has this Taylor in the past. I did read an article about that a couple months ago, so that's like not great. But then they like did a small like fling. Um, but he definitely was a rebound after her dating Joe Alwyn, who we will talk more about later. Um, so I just think it was kind of Taylor being rebellious, going to another British man. Um, obviously, there's no songs about him. There's no songs about Connor Kennedy that I know of. It was about his parents. Because I've been talking about songs about people. But Matt Healy, no songs about him. But maybe in the future. It was only a relationship from last year. Number 9, Calvin Harris. Calvin Harris is Scottish. I think he's Scottish. He's a DJ. He what song? Oh, is it "We Found Love"? Is that one of his songs? Let me look it up. But he has that song with Migos. Let's also look up his real name. Okay, he is Scottish. He is Scottish. I did look it up. Summer, one of his songs. Oh my god, he's married. Good for him. He's 39. Also, he's tall. Oh, this is what you came for. Which Taylor Swift is like, if you listen carefully, you can hear her vocals. But, yeah. His real name is Adam. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Adam Wiles. Which is a boy name. Like, why are you going with Calvin Harris? They dated for over a year, which is actually pretty much one of her longest relationships on this list. She did help co-wrote some songs like I mentioned, "This Is What You Came For," which is featuring Rihanna and has her backing vocals. Um, she did say some like kind of bad things about her after they broke up. I wrote stinky things. That's my note. Um, he claimed that he did not help her. No, she did not help him write songs, and that I think he said that she used him for fame, which I don't get. Taylor Swift is like one of the biggest pop stars in the world, blah blah blah. But she did write "I Forgot You Existed" about him, and that song's so catchy. It's on the Lovers album, and I think that's like the only song about him, which is crazy because they dated for over a year, and like I said, um, Jake Gyllenhaal, they dated for 3 months. He has almost a full album about him. Calvin Harris, they dated for over a year, one song. If there's other songs about him, let me know. Um, number 8. This one is kind of controversial. No, actually, not really. But you probably don't remember. It's Lucas Till. If you want Lucas Till, how do you know him? Um, they, he was in the Hannah Montana movie. He played Miley Cyrus's love interest in the Hannah Montana movie. He's that little blonde kid. I think they met during the Hannah Montana movie because uh, Taylor Swift did write a song for that movie. Well, she did register, and people do think is fun fact. I saw this online today. They think that she's going to make that a vault track for debuts. Like, you'll always find your way back home. You can change your hair and you can change your clothes. That song. So you think they're gonna make that a debut album? That's a side note. But he was in that movie, and she's like in this scene in the barn singing "Crazier, Crazier." So I think that's how they met. Um, and then he was in the "You Belong with Me" music video, the one where they're like holding up the signs like, "What's up?" Did not say "What's up," but it's like, "What are you doing?" Nothing, you, or like something stupid. And he's dating Taylor Swift as a brunette, but then she comes to the dance and has the signs like, "I love you," I think, and then he goes, "I love you." Also, something that bothered me in that music video, she wrote hers like straight across, and his was always like slanted. And then when she revealed her paper at the dance, hers was like written like her, how she would write it, but his was written the way she also wrote it. So it made me kind of mad because I'm like, make him write it slanted. But yeah, that was my favorite song growing up. Um, yeah, that was like my favorite song off of Fearless. That was my favorite song up to like pretty recently. I still love that song, memorized it. But yeah, I also used, I used to get him confused with Austin Butler. I think it's just because they're blonde and they were in kid shows growing up, but yeah, I don't think there's any songs about him. Um, and he is kind of a bland white guy. He's a blonde, bland white guy. And I don't know what he's up to these days. I think if he became popular when like Twitter and Instagram really took off, he would be considered one of the uh white boy of the month things. But I think he just came right before that, so he didn't get to be part of that subgenre. Number 7. So we're almost like this will be we're almost halfway through. Is Tom Hiddleston. If you don't know him, he is Loki in Marvel. Um, it was a very short relationship. He's also British. A lot of British and like UK people on this list. Like maybe a third. Um, it was a really short relationship, like I said. It was a rebound. She started dating him when right after breaking up with Calvin Harris. So it was down. It was like bound to fail. But he did wear this shirt on the beach with her saying "I heart TS," and I was like, that's iconic as a kid. I did think that was pretty iconic. Um, and then I thought like when she was dating him, I was like, oh, he's too old for her. So, like, when did they date? Like, so they probably dated like when I was in high school. So like 16. So I was like, oh, so old dating her. But one of my favorite songs is about him. It's Getaway Car. It's just like so beautifully written with such good metaphors and like illusions. I love that song. Um, but yeah. And then he also was her date to the Met Gala that led her to meeting Joe Alwyn, who obviously is like her most famous partner. But I'll talk about him, like I said earlier, I'll talk about him more. Number 6, Joe Jonas. It was a young relationship. They dated before the Fearless album, so that says a lot. So they were probably like 17, 18 dating. Um, I was like, this is when I was like my peak obsessed with Taylor Swift. So it was like known back then that he broke up with her in a 27-second phone call. And there's like this, I hate to admit this, I watched this YouTube video while I was a kid. It was her holding his Camp Rock doll, Shane Gray, and it had a little cell phone accessory. And the video she goes, oh, he even comes with a cell phone to break up with his girlfriend on the phone. Ugh, savage. But it really brought you some like really good Teen Ink songs. Better Than Revenge with the famous lyric change. Um, The Way I Love You. Oh, love that one. And then Mr. Perfectly Fine, which is like kicked off my love for her vault tracks. Um, but yeah, like as much as like it was a teen relationship. You can't hate him much. Also, he's in the Jonas Brothers, and he's like low-key my favorite Jonas brother. So he like obviously that's why he's like pretty high up on my list of who he likes. But oh, so back when Taylor was in this like reeling over her relationship with him, wrote a monologue for an SNL, like a musical monologue. Oh, which if you haven't seen it, it's so good. You should watch it. I watched this video actually recently talking who was it? Seth Meyers, because Seth Meyers was the lead writer back then. And he says, "Oh, a lot of times we had to help the guest host write their monologues for that week, but she came into the office of Lorne Michaels, who's like the person CEO of SNL or whatever. I don't know what officially he is. And played it for him and the writers and was like, hey, this is my idea for my monologue. What do you think? Played it. Did not do any changes. Like, they were like, this is perfect. This is so good. And so she dissed him in the song, um, which is pretty iconic. Like, you're 18, 19, you just got out of a very public relationship, and you're dissing your ex, who's also famous in a musical group, um, on national TV, which this was like the peak of SNL, so that was pretty iconic. But he is kind of on my like shit list right now, Joe Jonas, because he did divorce Sophie Turner, and he's been like an asshole during this divorce, and like Sophie Turner's so gorgeous. But yeah, number 5. Oh my god, I did not realize this when I did the list. Joe Alwyn. I've been talking about him. Joe Alwyn. This is going to be controversial because he's number 5 on my list. People either want to put him as 1, people want to put him as like top on the top of the list. I think 5 is good for me. I have my reasons, and obviously I'm going to explain them to you. It's obviously her longest relationship. They were together for 6 years. Um, they broke up they broke up. Supposedly they broke up in like March or April of 2023. I think they broke up a little before that because I think Midnight's is kind of a breakup album. Um, but yeah, he is British. He is. I don't know what he's been in. He's an actor, but I don't know what he's been in. Um, but um, so many songs are about him. Literally, Lovers about him. Reputation is about him. Um, Folklore is about him. Evermore's about him. Midnight's is about him. So obviously he was a big inspiration. Some of uh, just so many great songs about him. Especially my favorite one of them about him is "You're Losing Me," which is her latest release. It was a vault track from Midnight's. So sad, but such good lyrics. And apparently she wrote that in December of 2021, so like over 2 years later they broke up, which is really sad because like they have songs like "I'm the best thing at this party," "You're Losing Me," "I Wouldn't Marry Myself Either," "Pathological People Pleaser." Oh my gosh, I love that song. It's so good. Um, but obviously I have other songs. I love "Delicate" by about him. I like Dress, Gorgeous. Oh, I love Gorgeous, and it's about him talking about how they met at Coachella. Not Coachella. I'm so stupid. What is it? The Met Gala. When she had the bleach hair and the lip. But I love that look. Besides, but so many good songs about him. But as much as like he was like, as much as people nowadays on TikTok like to hate on him, he is what she needed at the time. It was kind of in the time they started dating, around the time that the Kanye Kim Kardashian release happened. So she went into hiding and just kind of was more secluded. He was a very comforting force because he wasn't a huge famous person. He had some fame, but not a lot. So he did really help her nurse her back into the person she is today, showed her love and caringness, but, once she wanted to go back into the public eye, go to the Grammys, because she was nominated for a song for Where the Crawdads Sing, um, she was like, I want to go back to award shows, I want to be back on red carpets, I want to go to all these award shows, all these events, and just be shown off because she's like she was on her comeback, and he just did not want to handle that. He liked Taylor when Taylor was in her COVID era, staying at home, comfy clothes, flannels, wine, which we all love that moment, but like you gotta have a balance. Um, he was embarrassed to talk about her in their relationship. She would talk about him in interviews, but he would shy away from talking about her. Like, that's embarrassing. You're dating the world's biggest pop star. You don't want to talk about her. Ugh. Which leads to, I think he could have been a bigger gentleman to her. In the car, there's a clip on like TikTok and other things where it showed a clip of Joe holding Taylor's hand, running to the car, like, we need to get out of the paparazzi. Which paparazzi sucks, but then there was a clip of Travis Kelce, walking with her, showing her off, making sure she's safe. And that's such a, yes, the paparazzi sucks, but you're not rushing her. You're letting people know that she's in good hands, and, like, he's being a gentleman. And I will talk more about Travis Kelce later, but I love him. But yeah. And apparently Joe Alwyn cheated on her, which, how do you do that? Like, cheated on her twice. which I can relate if you listen to my other episode about red flags with my ex. That's something very relatable to me. Also a J name. They have such a bad stereotype. But yeah, Joe Alwyn, number 5. Controversial. Number 4. No one probably saw this one coming. It's Corey Monteith from Glee. I loved Corey Monteith, rest in peace. He was a Glee baddie. He played Finn. I used to love that show growing up. Um, and I thought, like, so Glee came out when I was, like, what, 11? I thought he was super tall. I'm like, this man is super tall. Because I was 11. But, uh, he was very sweet. He, as much as I loved him with Taylor Swift, they only dated a month, and he was going to marry Leah Michelle. Uh, Leah Michelle's controversial too. But, yeah. One of my notes just says dead, though. Like, it's weird that I just wrote dead though. But yeah, he passed away from an overdose, which is very sad. He's also Canadian. Forget that fact. But yeah, he played Finn in Glee, my favorite character. And then he had the song Mine written about him. That's a very like sweet song on Speak Now. You were the best thing that ever was mine. I love that song. Okay, number 3. Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner was in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Uh, iconic movie, but then I guess he's better. According to my niece, his other role was playing Taylor Swift's opposite in the movie Valentine's Day. And then I was like, have you ever heard of Twilight, bro? My niece is 17, so I don't blame her, but it was just funny. But yeah, so he was also Taylor. No, he was Jacob in Twilight, the werewolf, and it showed that he could work hard because did you see his glow from the first movie, Twilight, to New Moon? He got jacked. I saw an interview where he's like, yeah, like when I'm really nervous, I just do backflips. So that's why he did a backflip at her concert when he was introduced on stage. Um, yeah. I did think it was funny when they were dating. I'm like, they're both named Taylor. What if they get married? And they're both Taylor Lautner. And then they broke up, and I didn't think about this. And then Taylor Lautner got married to another Taylor. So they're both Taylor Lautner. They're just Boy Tay and Girl Tay. I saw that in an interview because both Taylor Lautners have a podcast together. I don't watch it, but I've seen clips of it. And then he comforted her during the famous Kanye VMAs. And so she wrote a song about it called Back to December, which is very sad. I love that song. Don't Speak Now. I love a lot of her songs, if you can't tell. I love Taylor Swift. Number 2 is Harry Styles. British. That's one of my notes. British. Used to be in One Direction. Which, fun fact, I liked One Direction when their first album came out, and when I was in 13, and then I got bullied into not listening to them until I was in, like, high school. Like, until I was, like, a junior or senior in high school, I got bullied into not listening to them and not liking them. Um, by my best friend at the time, she's like, you like One Direction? I was like, yeah, and I had a little t-shirt of them. I was like, yeah, I like One Direction. She goes, that's kind of embarrassing. And I like try to play her the the One Direction debut album, and she did not like it. But now she likes the songs, I think. Actually, I don't know. But those songs kind of slap. We're not talking about One Direction. I have a lot of thoughts about them though. Um, he is one of the biggest male pop stars. Such great hits like Watermelon Sugar, uh, Adore You, um, Golden, Music for a Sushi Restaurant. so many others. I just listed some of them. Um, he also is a movie star. And Don't Worry, Darling movie. That movie's crazy. I loved it. Crazy. Does not make sense. So much drama behind the scenes. Crazy. Iconic. um, but it is kind of controversial. He was 18 when she was 22 dating him. Oh no, 21. She was 21 and he was 18, which is like not great. But he also fucked up the relationship. He tried to be like, oh, cool, like so hard to be cool. Like, I'm cool. I'm in like the biggest boy band in the world. You don't need me, Taylor. But like, he kind of fucked up with Taylor. Um, and then like, there's the picture of her like in the back of a yacht crying, and he's like partying. Um, but there's like so many good albums about him, like 1989's about him. Um, so make it like out of the woods style, like you got that James Dean daydream look in your eye. Well, I don't know why I'm singing. And then so many good songs. Oh, the best songs about him though are Now That We Don't Talk and Is It Over Now, which are both full tracks for 1989. Um, iconic. And then like obviously their relationship went very public because of the New Year's Eve kiss. Ah, but yeah. I put him as number two probably because I love Harry Styles as a person. I love him as an entertainer. Not so much as Taylor's boyfriend, but this is also my personal ranking of who I like. So, and now number one, you all guessed it. I mentioned him briefly before. Travis Kelsey. She's He's her current boyfriend. He is 6'5" to her 5'11", so tall. He's a football tight end. He's actually considered. He's very famous in his own like just regard. Like he's one of the best tight ends in the league right now. He is redefining what a tight end can look like. He's also very kind, very caring. He's showing them football players they don't fit in a mold. They can be more loving and caring and not very stereotypical. He has a podcast called New Heights with his brother, Jason Kelsey, who is a center for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a lot of invisible strings. Like, they grow 5 hours from each other, Taylor and Travis. Um, Taylor's dad, like, her family's favorite team growing up was the Philadelphia Eagles because she grew up right outside of Philadelphia, and Travis's brother plays for the Eagles his whole career. Um, they're both obviously born in 1989. They both she references things about hit like nuggets kind of having to do with him. Like in her songs, like you can listen to be like, oh, that's like could be about him. But she's very in love with him, and like he's not shy to flaunt off like, oh, I'm dating Taylor Swift. And like if you don't know how they got together is um Taylor Swift was at her concerts, one of the things that they did was give out friendship bracelets, and he mentioned on a his podcast, oh, I saw Taylor Swift perform at Arrowhead Stadium, which is the Kansas City Chiefs football stadium, which he has a suite in. So he was watching from the suite her perform, but he was like, "Oh, I really wanted to meet Taylor Swift. I had a bracelet for her with my phone number, but she doesn't talk to people before or after shows because she sings so much. She has to save her voice." So he's like, he brought this all up, acting butthurt, but he was like, whatever. But apparently, like, after that happened, people in Taylor's, like, side got in contact with people on Travis's side, set them up. They went on a date in, like, August. Um, and they've been dating ever since. And I'm, like, really into that relationship. He loves to talk about her. He talks about her, like, respectfully, like, does not give too much information, but gives her fans nuggets about their relationship. Um, she's apparently staying in his Kansas City home to see what it's like to be together. He flew down to Argentina to see her perform. Just so many iconic moments. She's been going to his games. Um, yeah, it's just like he's not intimidated by her because all her other exes, besides like Connor Kennedy, have been in the entertainment music acting world, which she just like dipped her toes in, both of them. But Travis Kelsey's a football star, like he's not threatened by her, which I love, and like he knows he's the best at what he does, and he knows she's the best at what she does, so she's like, we're a fucking power couple. I would marry him if I could. Fun fact. I love Travis Kelsey. I like his personality and stuff. But I'm not like the other Swifties. I actually knew about Travis Kelsey pretty well for like almost 2 years, like maybe like a year and a half before he mentioned Taylor. Because my ex Nick was a huge Kansas City fan, so I watched games with him. I learned about Travis Kelsey, so I like got TikToks about him. He would be on my Instagram. My Nick would tell me about him. I watched his podcast a couple times. So I liked Travis Kelsey before. Um, Taylor Swift was brought into it, but I love him even more now, and I'm hoping that maybe this is the end game. This is her 13th public relationship, lucky 13, which is Taylor's favorite number. She was born on December 13th, blah blah blah. But yeah, that is my ranking of Taylor Swift's exes in the public eye. Let me know if you agree, disagree, if I missed anything. But yeah, hope you guys have a good 2024, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, love ya. Bye.